I believe the power of a vibrant relationship with God is very much so taking the spiritual and making it practical, because I think that's really God's design. You know, he cares about a relationship, a heart connection. So it has to make sense in the context of our everyday life.
Hello, beloved, and welcome to the All Things Beloved podcast with me, Christina Patterson, where we invite women of faith to show us how they are practically living out their relationship with God. Today, I am super excited. I know I say that all the time, but that's because a lot of the women that are on the podcast are women that I personally know and that are good friends of mine. And today's guest, Shannon Parker, is no different. Shannon is a health motivator and coach with a contagious passion for food, fitness, and faith. As an advocate for self-care and a recipe developer, Shannon brings hope and inspiration to busy women like us who struggle to achieve and enjoy, that's a key word, a healthy lifestyle. As a wife, mother of two, and chief financial officer of her home-based church here in Raleigh, North Carolina, Shannon understands how challenging yet important it is to make self-care and wellness a priority. Thank you so much for joining us today, Shannon.
Thank you for having me, Christina. I'm so honored to be here talking to you and the beloved community. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, that was like your official bio. I always like to give our guests a chance to share in their own words who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. Well, again, I'm so honored because I have such admiration for you, Christina, your heart for women and making faith come alive. I am Shannon Parker. I'm a busy woman like most of your listeners and a wife of 12 years, have 2 kids, an 8-year-old and almost 6-year-old. And I am also in ministry. So I work really hands-on in ministry here in Raleigh with my family. My parents are pastors. I have a strong business mindset and mind frame because that's the work that I did. And I always thought I would have a marketplace ministry. And I have a little bit of both. And so now as a, lifestyle coach, I work with women all different stages of life. And I have a focus on faith, food, and fitness. And those really are the pillars of how I help women, I would say, regain vibrancy in their health and wellness. I think that the self-care part of who we are as women is sometimes overlooked or just ignored.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And we're givers, and we have a lot to navigate and do with our families, coordinating schedules, and there's a lot of things that fall on our plate. And what can happen is that our body is just dealing with stress, a lot of choices made out of convenience, and our health begins to fail. And I just have a heart and a mission to really bring the priority of self-care back to the forefront. So I work with women in nutrition through my signature course and program called Nourish, and I help women also in fitness and having a fun way of stress relief and moving their bodies and building community. I'm big on community. Both Nourish and what I offer and on the fitness side is all about sisterhood and encouragement. And I think that it's so important to not only take care of yourself, but not do life alone. And wherever your goals are, to align your choices and your community all around you getting there. So I hope to provide a place for women to be themselves, but also be their best version of themselves, but providing tools and encouragement along the way. That's me.
Yeah, yes, and y'all, Shannon does an excellent job at doing that. Whenever I think, oh man, I need to eat better, I need to exercise more, Shannon comes to mind. I'm like, because I know she's going to motivate me, she's going to push me, and she's going to do it in such an encouraging and graceful way because she understands where we are as women. If you follow her on Instagram, and I'll put all her social links and things in the description of this video, like every day she's sharing a recipe, she's inspiring you to work out. And I will let you know, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on, but I personally went through her Nourish course a few months ago. It was amazing. And she is my beach body coach as well. And that has been clutch in this season where we can't go to the gyms and we can't go out necessarily. And my treadmill just broke. So I'm like, beach body's where it's at right now.
I'm so thankful for you, Christina, because you are living life. And I think you do it so gracefully because you are, I mean, a true leader. I mean, influential leader. You care about women. And I love that you are taking care of yourself. And we're not relying on anybody else. We're making it happen. And I just commend you for your commitment. It shows.
And thank you so much. Thank you so much. And, you know, it's as busy women, it's so easy, like you said, to put ourselves on the back burner.
Yes.
And so I remember just when I had my son at that point, then I was like my second child. And I remember feeling so overwhelmed with everything. And just feeling like I'm taking care of everybody else. And so when I took care of myself, it looked like I just want to sit down and not do anything.
Right.
You know, but then I would get frustrated because, you know, I'm not feeling healthy. I'm not exercising. I'm not eating right, you know, and these things are affecting me physically, emotionally, and mentally as well.
Yes.
And so I had to get to a point in my life where I realized I was like, you know, I make all these sacrifices for everybody else.
Yes.
You know, when am I going to get to the point where I say, hey, doing something nice for myself is making the sacrifice. Doing something nice for myself is saying, hey, I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to work out because that is something good for myself. It's not, and really just changing my mindset on eating healthy and exercising as self-care, you know, because some people might look at self-care as like, oh, I'm just going to sit down and eat and watch TV, which is fine. You know, I do that too. I'm going to be real with you. I do that too. But also incorporating things that take a little bit of sacrifice and saying I'm worth it because I feel like everybody else around me is worth the sacrifices I make for them. It's time for me to make that same sacrifice for myself. So how do you encourage women to kind of get that mindset? And well, actually, no, this is what I want to ask. How did you yourself personally get to that mindset? Because you have an amazing testimony around how Nourish and your coaching and everything started.
Yes. Thank you. So I see myself, you know, because we were there as new moms, it's so overwhelming. I don't feel like there's enough kind of initial communication and messaging around becoming a mom, whether for the first time or every time you have a child. It's such a new and dynamic and demanding experience with motherhood. But I will say for me, I see myself as that woman all the time because that's where I was. And my heart goes out to women as demands in our life change. But especially for me, my journey really started in having kids. The blessing of the giving birth.
Changes everything.
Everything, like, Lord, good gracious. And for me, it was a definite demand on my physical system. The blessing, I loved it. Carrying, you know, each of my babies, giving birth really threw my body in I would say a traumatic experience. It was trauma to my system. I had postpartum triggered health issues. So some people may deal with like the mental side. I dealt with the total physical breakdown. Gotcha. Once I had my son, I didn't realize I was dealing with hypothyroidism, which is an indication that your thyroid is slower functioning. And so your thyroid is a key, like the director of your hormone function. And so that can look different for every woman. But for me, I had intensive hair loss. So these things began to mask because you're like, well, I'm a new mom. And these are common things for a mom, right? A new mom. So I had the shedding, but it was like lots. Like my hair was very brittle, breaks so easily. Like if you touch it, it would break. I had massive memory loss. And I was like, well, this is mommy brain, you know? So I was like, well, I just always gave it an excuse. I always felt like I was being overly, you know, I'm like, well, this is normal. I kept trying to, you know, downplaying it in my own life. So I have to say for me, it was just this breakdown that was beginning to happen. And I still kind of pushed through. I was, you know, younger, my first child, I pushed through. I did not like the weight gain. I always gained weight after childbirth. I was like, what is this? I'm nursing, I'm doing the things, but I'm not losing weight. Again, a sign that my thyroid level was not where it needed to be. So after having my second child, that's really when everything totally came to a screeching halt. I had 2 gallbladder attacks. So I felt like someone was like stabbing me in the abdomen. I was misdiagnosed the first one, went to the hospital second one. My gallbladder was 4 times its size, highly infected. They thought literally it could explode at any moment. So I had to get emergency surgery. My daughter was only 3 months old. I couldn't hold her. I was like in tears. That's when I was in shambles. I was like emotionally, when I went there, I had the flu. I didn't even know I had the flu. And it was just like this whole situation. My immune system was like shot. And I had the gallbladder removed. I couldn't digest food. I was like unable to digest food. I was always bloated, constantly had stomach knots. It was just a miserable quality of life. I was bone tired. And I thought, okay, I have 2 kids under 3. Maybe this is normal. But I was bone tired. And then we had, 2 out-of-state relocations. So it was just a whole lot of stress.
That's a lot.
And so that's why my heart speaks to the woman who is doing her very best. Doesn't know why her energy is so low. Her sex drive is low. Her hair is falling out, but she is so overwhelmed with life. That is who I speak to, because that is who I was. And I guess you could say the moment that it all seemed to kind of like shatter around me was when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease. And even in this environment now we're navigating, coming out of COVID-19, they always talk about like suppressed immune systems. That's what I had. And so my body attacked the thyroid. Not only was the thyroid cell functioning was attacked. So when I tell you I have a heart for every woman, yes, I'm into fitness and wellness, but I am a compassionate woman, because you never know what someone's going through. And I think it's so shallow to judge someone on how they look. I have no idea what your body is fighting for you, regardless of your size, of your physical size. So I feel like as women, as moms, we should be the most compassionate, right? Because we should have an understanding of how hard it is to transform our bodies and our lives to support, other, sweet little beings. And so, I would say the reason I am passionate about life restarts and health and vibrancy, and that is my mission, is because God brought me out of a very dark place. That scripture that David says, like you brought me out of the miry clay. Like I felt like I was the walking dead. I felt so like a zombie shell of myself because I was so sick. And God's faithfulness just showed up. He gave me hope. He gave me encouragement beyond a doctor's diagnosis. Just thinking about it brings like tears to my eyes. So I was so depressed. I was so hopeless. I felt like the woman with the issue of blood, that she had spent all trying to find answers, and no one could give me any hope. So here I am, teary-eyed. So
it's an empowering story. This is good.
Yeah. So I speak to the woman who feels hopeless. I speak to the woman who feels like she doesn't have any answers, feels isolated and alone, because that was me. And it's hard when you don't know what you feel and why you feel it, because your body is going through so much. And so I am here for that woman. I'm here for her to let her know she's not alone. That not only does God see her cry, but he has answers and resources, and the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. And I just believe in the power of everything God created, every seed, every fruit, every vegetable, everything he created can serve us. And so that's how I teach Nourish, and that's how I support women every single day. Because I believe in the hope of Jesus Christ, and I believe in that life more abundantly. And no one is ever too far gone. So never give up on yourself. So that's a little bit.
Right. And I know that, and you guys, you might actually already know Shannon, because she has led workshops at both Beloved Women's conferences that we've had previously. And one of the attendees messaged me after last year's, and she was just like, I have never made the connection between God and my health. I never made the connection between eating better and what the Bible actually says. And she said that when you were in your workshop and you made that connection for her, she said it completely changed how she viewed her health and her wellness, and that it gave her a mindset to want to do better. And not from like previously before, which is what a lot of women might experience, is like from guilt, or like, oh, the media says I need to look like this, so I need to exercise and eat better because I need to try to meet some sort of standard. But more from a mindset of, no, this is the lifestyle that God has for me. I don't have to be some perfect image that I see, but God has provided a way for me to a life of wellness. And so she was like excited about it. It wasn't like a burden, like, oh, I gotta eat this and I gotta exercise. She was like excited to move forward. And so I just want to let you know, Shannon, that like God brought you out of that season and you are bringing other women out. And that's why I love you so much, because I love when I see women, God bring women through hard situations and they're like, oh, no. God, you're not going to just bring me out. I'm going to bring all my sisters with me.
I love that.
And that is, y'all, that is truly what Shannon does. And so you kind of answered the question that I was going to ask you. I was going to ask, what would you say to the woman who is in that hard place? And you kind of just answered like, look, Jesus, he's giving us hope. He's giving us answers, and he's leading us even when it comes to our health. Because I think that when we think about our relationship with God, sometimes we can just over spiritualize it, and it's like like he only cares about me, my prayer life. You know what I mean? Right. And we compartmentalize it like, okay, my devotion time, that's God, and everything else is just kind of like secular. And you know, through your example, how have you seen God just kind of come into all the other aspects of your life when it comes to your fitness and your food as well?
Yeah, I would say that I'm big on God giving us the Holy Spirit and, you know, giving us wisdom, and that he hasn't left us, you know, alone. And he says, if you want wisdom, he'll give it to you. And so I'm someone who I believe the power of a vibrant relationship with God is very much so taking the spiritual and making it practical, because I think that's really God's design. You know, he cares about a relationship, a heart connection. So it has to make sense in the context of our everyday life. And so I love that scripture in the Bible. It's in Psalms where he says, you know, God satisfies my mouth with good things. He renews my youth like the eagles. I remember going back and studying about like, God, how can I align myself to your approach to a holistic life? And in Genesis, right in the very beginning, he talks about what to eat. He talks about, you know, herbs, and he talks about how he's made everything for us to thrive. I'm someone who, it has to be simple. It has to be sustainable, right? Because God wants us to live victoriously. If it's too complicated, it's just, you know, something that we can't sustain. So I really love the idea of, well, like when you read a scripture, you know, you make it your own, you know, you put your name in it, you make it come alive. Same thing for every principle that God has given to us, that we have the ability to put it into the context of our life. Figuring out what motivates us, figuring out how we can make it sustainable. It's all about partnering with the right resources and people to get you to that point where you are empowered to live a life fully that God has called you to live. That to me is like everything. To be able to feel, you know, the confidence and the clarity to do what you need to do for your health so that you can fulfill the purpose and calling on your life. That is very, very encouraging and fulfilling for me.
Yeah, that is good to notice that connection between you have this call on your life, but you need to be healthy to be able to answer it, you know, and so that's important. Okay, so to a busy mom or woman, to a busy woman that needs a quick win, you know, she's like, I know I haven't been exercising, I know I haven't been eating well, I know I might not be doing enough self-care because life is legitimately busy, and we know that you of all women understand that, you know. What is one or two things that you would tell her that she could start this week that could transform her life?
Oh, I love this one. I would say, one, giving yourself permission to rest. So mentally, because I think sometimes as women, we have a lot of demand. We're on constant overload. We wake up and we go. And so the way that I think you can do that is having like a powerful first 15 minutes. You know, and having that be something that's powerful. So I like to give practical things, like having a glass of water already on your nightstand. You just take it, you know, to your room the night before, so you have it there. And as soon as you wake up, part of your first 15 is drinking, you know, 16 ounces of water, then flushing out, and then, you know, cleaning your face, all that, and then make that moment sacred, because you don't know how much time you're going to have. So if it's a matter of you going ahead and getting dressed into your workout clothes and doing some movement, great. or going ahead and having that quality time with God, great. But focus on making your morning a powerful part of your day, because then you have a little bit of extra control there, a little bit, and it gives you the ability just to make, you know what, my self-care is my priority, you know. And I think having your first 15 minutes where you take care of yourself, where you pray, you know, I would say wait, pray, and slay, you know, where you get, you know, you get going and you're like, you know what, I'm going to take care of me. I'm going to have my quality time. I feel like things in 15-minute increments just seem doable. You know, like I can wake up, I can hydrate myself, I can pray, and I can even get some stretching and deep breathing in and movement in. But I think that's a very powerful thing. It actually helps you shape your morning for success. You know, I always think about women, we're like the, you know, the CEOs of our lives and our homes. And so we need to do what CEOs do. And they tend to work out in the morning. They tend to really make their mornings like their power source. Same thing for the busy woman, because what we offer is generational, right? Like our leadership is generational when it comes to being a mother, or even in business. You don't have to be a wife or a mom to have a generational impact. Right. So I think that just taking 15 minutes, like what am I going to do my first 15 minutes? The night before, you might want to write some things down. And that way you have the clarity, the mental clarity to not feel so behind or rushed. And I think that in itself will set you up to be able to receive, you know, great nutrition and, you know, really great support in every, you know, in your life, in your livelihood. So I think that's a really easy start. Your first 15 minutes, what can you do that would bring you joy, clarity, and allow you to step in from a place of peace instead of feeling overwhelmed from the very start?
Right. I love that. I love the idea of first 15 and the short time increment of 15 minutes, because sometimes we feel like, oh, well, I'm not going to do, you know, this or that because I need 2 hours to do it. And I don't have 2 hours. But when we say, hey, I can still be productive or get something meaningful done in a 15-minute time increment, that's empowering. That is really empowering. Yes. Thank you, Shannon.
Yes, absolutely.
So, tell us more about Nourish. Now, I have to let you guys know, I participated in Nourish. I shared it a little bit earlier. And this is Shannon's 4-week course where she takes you through in really how to live a lifestyle of health. And I'm so glad that I did it. And actually your Nourish course is open now. It only opens a few times a year, guys. It's open now, but I think registration closes this Friday.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about Nourish.
Sure. So Nourish is a passion project because it came out of how do I heal my body? Because I was so broken internally. And also, how do I lose weight? I think that's something that, you know, I cared about. But ultimately, Nourish is about you eating to heal and you eating for optimal weight in life. So it's a 4-week program. It's a lifestyle coaching experience. I do a one-on-one coaching session for every woman who enrolls. I keep the class intimate, no more than 10 students in the class. We meet weekly every Monday of the 4-week experience. The Nourish experience also includes my signature course. So there's immediate access to materials that you can download, learning how to listen to your body so you understand what foods are aligning you to health and what foods, you know, your body is saying this is not working. So it's really your time to reset, for you to actually think through what will it take for me to feel good, energy. And I think we are usually on such a rush. It's so good to invest in a 4-week time frame to totally reset your mind and your body. So there's coaching and there's the program itself. It's the class environment. There's also community. So the Nourish course has a private group where we talk about hydration, water, and food. And we encourage each other. We post our food for accountability. So you get that level of support and engagement. And it's such a powerful time. The testimonies I have for the women still bless my socks off. I work with women at every different stage of life. So, you know, wherever you are, I've had the privilege of working with women who are post-cancer or navigated some really tough stuff in their lives. And we come up with a customized plan. I love Nourish because it's not a diet, but yet you learn the power of food and you learn how to eat for you. So it takes the confusion out and the complexity out. You know, it's not about like a certain diet or approach. It's like, you know what's going to work for me, it's empowering. And so you feel confident, you know exactly what you need to do. And we actually walk through a food elimination experience so that you can also get rid of some things that may be interfering with how well you can feel. So that's Nourish. And I'd love, you know, to talk to anyone who's interested in that and just be able to walk alongside you.
Yeah, and I'm going to put the link to Nourish in the description of this video as well. Again, I thoroughly enjoyed the 4-week process. The main reason I really wanted to do it was because I needed the community and accountability to eat in a way that gave me more energy. To me, energy is like my biggest thing. Like, you know, I need to be able to keep up with my kids and everything that's going on. And I will have seasons where I'm like, tired or drained, but it's not like sleepy. I know that I feel like, man, there's something depleted in me. And through Nourish, I was able to find foods and practical ways to cook those foods, like the pina colada. I love drinking those, that I can just incorporate into my everyday life to give me energy for the day. And just drinking the water and the accountability with that and seeing the benefits of that, and just so I definitely saw an increase in my energy just going through the process. And it encouraged me to want to continue those habits after the 4 weeks. So was out. And I was telling Shannon before we started that I did Nourish, I think it was February.
Yes.
And it was right before everything shut down because of all the stay-at-home orders and things like that. And I was so glad that I did it because I got in tune and in the habit of all the meal planning. And listen, y'all, Shannon is thorough, y'all, okay? She sends you your grocery list for the week. She sends you your meals, you know, your recipes for the week. So that's what I loved about it. I don't have to think about it. You know, she really made it super simple. And if you're already busy, you know, I don't need someone just saying, did you eat healthy today? I need someone that's saying, here, eat this. Here's the recipe. Go to the grocery store, get this. And I mean, she made it super easy. And so I still have all my downloads and everything. And I still cook some of the meals now. And it's super simple and super beneficial. So worth the value and more of what you get from just working with Shannon. I love my one-on-one consultation. And I don't mean for this to sound like an infomercial, but y'all, this was super impactful on my life, and not my life, but just like my husband and my kids, they're seeing me and they're like, hey, let me try that. Let me eat that. Let me, you know, and so they're starting to eat healthy too. And it just impacted my whole household. And so that was huge, because if you're you know, a wife and a mom, you know how it can be, you know, when you're trying to implement, you know, eating changes in your household. Everybody might not necessarily always be on board. But you know, my family loved the recipes. They were like, oh, this is actually like this. And so it's an amazing program. If you have the opportunity to join, go ahead and join Nourish by this Friday before doors close. Or before Shannon fills up, because she does limit it so that you do get more of an intimate experience, which is also really great when you're going through something like this. And so, yeah, so we just wanted to share that with you. And be sure to follow Shannon on Instagram. Her Instagram is fire and super motivational every single day. So if anything, follow her on Instagram. And so, Shannon, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a great conversation. We got to have you back on to have some more girl talk.
I would love that. I would love that. Thank you. Definitely. Thank you for having me. I'm just so honored. And I think you do a great job, Christina, you know, reaching women in everyday ways, from your teachings to the women that you interviewed. I've loved the excerpts and things that you share. Love that last one on mental wellness and mental health. And I can't see how anyone who listens and follows you cannot be living at their very best, you know, body, soul, and spirit. And I love how balanced and powerful you are and what you offer to, you know, women all over the world. So I'm honored to be here. And thank you for sharing your testimony. That just makes me so grateful.
Oh, thank you so much, Shannon.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This has been awesome. So hopefully it was helpful.
Oh, definitely helpful. All right, guys, again, connect with Shannon. I'm going to put all her links in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching or listening wherever you are today. And take care, be beautiful, be blessed, and be loved.